18 months in jail. It's like, okay, we'll be glad to take that as long as I'll make a counter offer. Say for every month in jail, you give me $10,000. You know, if account two, you seize all my property. Oh, seize all my property, the fair market value for 260 plants is $10,000. You give us the fair market value at 20% discount, and we'll talk about letting you keep all our property. You know, 10-year firearm prohibition order, great. We'll be glad to accept that order. Well, we'll charge you $500 a year. And this DNA order to provide the police with a sample of DNA, we'll be more than glad to give you a sample of our DNA at $10,000 an ounce with a 3-ounce minimum. And send it back to them. And they'll look at this and they'll say, out of like a million offers that Canada's ever made to anybody, they'll say these guys are just totally insane, or just totally Looney Tune, or totally not afraid of the totally game. You know, they know the game. You know, it's like, remember I say that I gotta go on my computer and put that release that show. It was one of my first shows with the Alabama couple who were being chased in a high-speed pursuit chase. And they were throwing all the bales of pot out the window that they were trying to bring back to, you know, the West Coast from Florida. And all the pot bales were busting up all over the cops, you know, bumpers and hoods and windshields. And they just did that simple order thing when they got arrested. And the husband was out of jail in 1 day, and the wife was out of jail in 3 days. And the Alabama State Police brought them to the border and said, please don't ever come back to our state. Because when they were arrested, they said, let's try Karl's crazy. Oh, well, you ordered me to walk on this white line. And the wife talked for a long time on the show. The husband didn't talk too long, but the wife sounded like a pothead. And she was like, oh, yeah, it was great, man. I did your thing. They gave me this little white pad and a pencil, and every time they ordered me to sit down, I say, what's your name? And it's like, my name is Officer Jane. What's your badge number? 231. Good. Officer Jane says for me to sit down. And she said, what are you recording this for? He says, you give me an order, right? And he says, okay, great. I'm going to charge you $50. It's like $50. The Officer Jane would say, make it $1 million. And he's like, oh, wow, really? You don't mind? No, make it $1 billion. I don't give a damn. Just sit down. She's like, okie dokie. So she put all these orders out. So then when she got to the court on the third day, the Attorney General, came into the court and says, is this Daffy Broad writing out orders? Taking orders? And she's like, yeah, this crazy broad. It's like, how much do you think we owe her? It's like, what do you mean, owe her? I don't know, probably a couple of billion. And they said, get her out of here. It was like the husband pulled this stunt, like the first day he was in, and we knew what he was doing. So he's already been arrested. So I'm telling you, if you're in a high-speed pursuit in the state of Alabama by state police and they got you on video throwing bales of pot out the window and smashing all over the cops' windshields, you're not going to be out in a day. You're definitely going to have some sort of bail or bond if you get out. And when you go to trial, you're looking at 20 years in jail. These people, one husband was out in 1 day and the wife was out in 3 days because the prison matron ladies had no idea what she was going on about. They just thought it was a joke. But these people actually know the rules. So if you know the rules and you know how to use the rules with these people, not so much against these people, but if you use their own rules against them, they're like, holy crap, they're very honorable people, and they will actually play according to procedure, just like if they're playing tennis. You're watching people playing Wimbledon, you're not going to catch the greatest tennis players in the world cheating. They're not going to do it. They're very honorable. They're on a stage, and they take their game very seriously. And they're not going to be happy if they had to cheat to win, like playing golf. Golf's the same way. If you kick the ball, you're supposed to be honorable and say, okay, I double kicked it. Or you kissed it twice with the putter, you're supposed to admit it. You're not supposed to, it's supposed to be a game of honor. You're not supposed to have somebody like, satellite tracking on your ball for how many times it got struck. You're supposed to take it. And if you made a mistake on the scorecard at the end of the tournament, you're supposed to walk away from the $1 million and say, I made a mistake. I should have wrote 9 and I wrote 8 instead. I'm sorry. I said, but nobody caught you doing it, dude. Nobody saw you do it. It's like, I know I did it. And I got to give it. I got to give it to the next guy in line. So, like I said, most people don't think that they're very honorable people. They are, because they don't cheat. You just have to beat them at their own game. So that's the big thing. You've got to know the game that they're playing, and thank God this is common law land, because if this was, like I said, with Bolly's case, that barrister guy was awesome. He knew statute, he knew code, he knew the rules like the back of. He knew he ate this. You could tell this guy ate this stuff for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He dreamed these codes. He was incredible.
Yep.
But he couldn't handle law because common law is unwritten, and it's ridiculous. It's wherever the hell you want to take it. It's like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's like, but watch, it's going to work, buddy. Well, no, it can't. Yeah, watch when the judge comes back, man. He's going to say, okay. In common law, a trust doesn't have to be recorded with the public. Okay. In common law, the beneficiaries don't have to have knowledge of the benefactor. They don't have to know who the grantor is. Okay, fine. The trustee doesn't have to disclose. Okay, fine. The judge had to say, okay, fine. It was common law. Anything goes. So they were trying to nail you for commercial distribution of forged paper into the public from a trust. But that's a public trust.
This is private.
Thank God I threw that adjective in there and said, but, okay, you mean like a public trust? And they were like, yes. Okay. How about a common law trust? What? Oh, you don't think there's a difference, do you? Here, let me explain you the difference. Remember, the judge was trying to swallow it like 3 times. It's like, let's just move on. I'll think about it. I'll ponder it, during lunch.
He wrote it down on a bit of paper, and he sort of nodded a bit and thought,
Like the first time I said it, he done it. Second time, he's like, still. Third time, he's like, let's move on to the next thing. I'll think about it, and I'll come back. So what the judges do is they'll actually ask a judge above them, ask some, like that magistrate guy who was also with him. They'll ask him some questions. He'll make some phone calls, before he makes a ruling. He might Google it, and he'll say, okay, when he came back, he's like, that's fine, that's right. You're guilty of all this crap in the public, but that's fine. In common law, okay, you can do this because it's not written, dude. Of course we can do it. Nobody's claiming harm. Nobody's claiming loss, and nobody's injured. Of course we could do it. It's crazy. Common law is just totally insane. There is no rule. The rules are just only real loss. Anything else goes. Make it up as you go. It's my turn. It's 2014. I don't give a damn what they did in 2013. I certainly don't give a damn what they did in 1776, and I certainly don't care what they did in 1215. I don't care. It's my turn. They had their turn. They made their rules. It's my turn. Now I'm going to make my rules. It's unwritten. I'm just making them up as I go. Self-governing. This is what I believe is in my best interest. And that's the same thing the government tells you all the time. It's like, well, we're just doing it in the best interest of people. That's why we're making all these rules and making everything so strict. And, we got to make sure, mommy's here to make sure nobody gets hurt. So it's for your own good. And then you just got to say, hey, F you, mommy. I let me get hurt. I got to live. I don't want to be a bubble boy. I got to get out there and get my knees scraped up. Let me live.